Ideogram 3.0 is finally here. I've been testing it for a few days behind the scenes now thanks to early access, and I believe it's probably the best AI model right now for print on demand. And in this video, I'll show you a comparison between 3.0 and the previous models. I'll show you how the new interface works and some of the features that they've added, as well as I'll give you some bonus tips and tricks to help you get better results for your t-shirt designs. So in order to use the new version of Ideogram, you need to come to their homepage and then make sure that you change this setting right here from 2.0 to 3.0. Now you enter your prompt at the top as usual, and then you have a bunch of settings that you can change. Some of these are new, so let me go over them. First, you can change this from private to public. So in most cases, you just want to leave it private probably if you don't want anything to copy your designs. Then we've got the aspect ratio, which you can change in a bunch of different ways. I typically have mine set to either square or one of these two formats right here in portrait. Then the model, we already went over that. You can still change the render speed right here. Quality essentially makes the rendering slower, but more accurate, more detailed, but it also does cost more credits. And turbo is kind of the opposite, where it's faster, more affordable, less credits, but it's not always going to be as accurate when it comes to spelling or having very kind of small details within the image correct. And then we have the magic prompt setting, which you probably know already, but it's hidden behind this right now. I typically leave that off. If you have it on or set to auto, it will occasionally enhance your prompt or kind of write it out a little bit more, change some of the styling, etc. Then we've got the style settings right here. We've had that before with the previous model, but it has definitely changed quite a bit. Now we have less styles to choose from. So it's just general, realistic, and design. For print on demand, general and design get quite good results, but you can also leave it on auto. And then we've got random, which is fairly interesting. It literally chooses a bunch of random styles for your prompt. Not very useful for POD, to be honest, based on my initial testing. And what's probably going to be very interesting to you is the style reference down here, because you can upload up to 3 images and then have very, very simple prompts, but the style is going to be taken from your reference images down here. So if you're looking for something very specific and you're struggling to get the style right with the prompt, this feature will be really good, and I'll show you how to use it in a little bit. Then we've also got the color palettes feature, which we've had before, but it's now hidden behind this right here. You can add custom color schemes as well, or just leave it on auto and then it'll base it on your prompt, or just to do a random color scheme if you don't have any colors defined. And then behind these dots, we've got the tile feature, which unfortunately is still only supported by 1.0. And then we've got the seed number and negative prompt box right here if you need them. You can also still upload an image and let Ideogram describe that image. The describe feature has actually gotten better, and it now writes way more detailed and exact prompts based on the image that you upload. And then of course, once you're happy with the settings, you can click generate right here. It will add that to your queue at the bottom, and you can always find your images if you head to your profile and then into the private area right here. So that's already generated very quick, and I think that's a really good looking result. And in this case, we have the general style right here in some of these results, and then also the design style in a couple of others. Had it set to auto, but that's what it tends to flip to or automatically select if you have a POD centric prompt. So before I show you some of the cool new features like the style reference, let me actually give you a few comparisons of the same prompt being used with different models, so you know that this is actually better or an improvement. We've got a really, really long text one right here, text-based design. And that's kind of the first thing I was interested in, is how do these perform and how accurate are they with the spelling and the layout. Starting with 1.0, it did make quite a few mistakes in this, unsurprisingly. Dear Dance Mom behind me, sending you and your dancer, so it's put and twice right there. Lots positive vibes, so it's forgot a word, and they energy today. So there's lots of things wrong right here. It doesn't look awful considering it's so much text since version 1.0, but yeah, it's definitely not very good at spelling long phrases accurately. Then we've got version 2.0, which definitely did better. We've got Dear Dance Mom behind me, sending you and Yant your positive vibes and energy today as they take stage. Lots of love, the dance moment in front of you. So most of this is correct, just a little bit of mess up right here in the middle. And also the layout is a little bit wonky, I think, with some of these gaps right here. It's not very symmetrical. Whereas this version 3.0 did do a better job of getting things into a clear, concise layout and it also had, from like the first attempt, had some of the versions spelled entirely correctly. So we've got Dear Dance Mum behind me, sending you and your dancer lots of positive vibes and energy today as they take the stage. Lots of love, the dance mum in front of you. So that's exactly the phrase that we have in the prompt, and it also looks very tidy compared to the other result. So that's definitely interesting. Only ran these once, and 3.0 did very good straight away, whereas the other ones didn't manage to spell it all correctly. Then we have prompt number 2. Something I was also very interested in is the kawaii style, because I wasn't really happy with how 2.0 handled that, to be honest. Part of this prompt was actually suggested by someone in my free Discord community server in order to test 3.0 on its accuracy, because here we have 3 cute pandas next to each other, one eating a burger, the second holding a video game controller, and the third one is sleeping on this side. So quite challenging if every one of them is doing something different to get that all right. And they all kind of got the order in the same way, but in 1.0 you can see that some of the details look pretty bad, to be honest. The controller, the burger, and some of the like feet right here just kind of messed up. Then we've got 2.0, which did slightly better. Still some of the details a bit wonky, but overall I think that kawaii style doesn't look as great as version 3.0. And just the general composition, if you look at these, 3.0 is just way tidier, way more symmetric, very, very clear outline as well. And yeah, the controller's more accurate, the burger is, and you can clearly see that the one on the right is sleeping, whilst the others are excitedly holding their elements. So whilst none of these are terrible results, I think 3.0 definitely won this, and generally it's been getting better results with kawaii theme prompt for me, which is very exciting. And also I noticed, and this is a quick bonus tip, that if you want kawaii or cartoonish results, then you want to use the design style preset. That seems to work a little bit better than general. Whereas on some other results like vintage sunsets, for example, the general style setting has been working better for me. And the third prompt I wanted to show you before we jump back into some of the new settings is this one right here in a watercolor floral theme with a cat. I really like the result that 3.0 put out for this, considering it definitely still has a watercolor feel, but it has a very tidy, clear outline, which is typically quite difficult to get with this style and AI art. 2.0 it's probably my least favorite. I actually like 1.0 a lot better for the watercolor style in this case, at least in this result. But overall, I think version 3.0 is my favorite and did the best in this case. Very nice result, and I think an interesting prompt for you to try out as well. So let me show you how to use the new style reference feature to your advantage whilst designing. So let's say you want to create a vintage sunset design and you've got an idea in mind, for example, a camper van with the phrase camp more, worry less, right? Something very simple, and you don't really know how to write the right prompt right here to get that style, or you don't really want to write a prompt perhaps. In that case, if you choose one of these styles at the top, you're not really going to get a result that looks like an actual t-shirt design, and I would generally abandon the random setting if you're trying to get t-shirts, because that typically creates very random styles that look more like photographs in most cases. But what we can do now is we can add style references up to 3 images that look like our desired style. So let me quickly do that. Right, there we go. And now I can hit generate. As you can see, these all look like vintage sunset t-shirt designs. I can hit generate on this, and the styles also get saved up here to the prompt bar. So I can now easily adjust the phrase or the subject of the prompt right here, the niche, and apply the same style to some other slightly changed design or outputs as well. And there we go. I think those are some pretty good results considering we didn't have to write a prompt. They definitely look like vintage sunset designs. Very neat and tidy, definitely useful for POD. Now what you'll also notice is if you upload an image right here, it will come up with an option to choose that image as a style reference, and you only need one, by the way. You don't have to upload 3 style references every time, but just so you know that. And if we click describe, it should now give you a way more detailed and longer description of the image than it did with the previous describe feature on the 2.0 version. And I thought that was a fairly simple looking graphic, but that's definitely a ton of text to describe it. Let's also test out what that looks like. Yep, that is very similar. Looks like a very good result, to be honest. And I could see something like this working for July the 4th, Independence Day, for example. Speaking of vintage sunset designs, that's another comparison that I made because it is such a popular style. And here we've got a bunch of results. 2.0 already did extremely well with vintage sunsets, in my opinion, but you can definitely see progression, I think, from left to right. 1.0 was okay, but not the greatest. 2.0 already very good, but 3.0 is definitely better based on the same prompt right here, in my opinion. But also let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you prefer the other models to 3.0, definitely let me know in the comments. All that I'm saying right here is just that in my opinion and from my tests, 3.0 seems to be producing better results. Then we've got a prompt right here for a floral graphic with a longer phrase again. And I was actually surprised that all of the models got this pretty correct, except for I think 1.0. Yeah, it added an extra E in this, but also this doesn't look too bad, to be honest, on the 1.0 version. 2.0 is a little bit more detailed on some of the graphics, but everything's spelled correctly. 3.0 is a little bit more flat when it comes to the flowers, which I quite like for print to demand. But yeah, overall, these are all quite similar results. Personally, I think actually 1.0 and 3.0 look the best aesthetically, but spelling wise, 2.0 and 3.0 both did extremely well in this case. Next up, we've got a prompt with cartoon themed graphics, and in this case, once again, I think a very clear difference. 1.0, not very good. 2.0, better, but still not very exciting. 3.0 looks way better, in my opinion. Like the whole highlights and shadow game right here is amazing. And again, this was the design style in this case, not general, for the best results with this kind of prompt. So I'm definitely happy that these styles right here, cartoon and kawaii, have moved into a better direction when it comes to results, because this definitely looks a lot better for POD in my opinion than what 2.0 put out. I'm already working on another video to share a bunch of prompts with you for this brand new Ideogram model that work well for POD, so keep an eye on the channel. But whilst you're waiting, why don't you check out this video next, where I share a massive prompt library that you can access for free.